Hi everyone, Chris here, back to make another vinyl video. This time something a bit different. Rather than New Zealand music, I'm focusing on one of my other musical passions. Like the Grecian Thunder, just recently read this book, Goodbye 20th Century, a biography of Sonic Youth. And I've probably mentioned in other videos that I'm a huge Sonic Youth fan. I have been for years, since the 80s, and I've I've followed the band ever since. Although there's been periods where it kind of went off, and I think the Grecian Thunder talked about that as well, kind of just moved away from the band, kind of lost track with what they were doing, but now I've kind of come full circle, and it means I've got a few gaps to fill in the collection as well. But I thought I'd have just a quick run through what I have got from Sonic Youth. It's certainly not complete, there's not everything there, there's a few things which I wish I'd bought. I have a lot on CD which I haven't got on vinyl, so this is just really looking at what I've got on vinyl. Starting off with things which I picked up when they came out or shortly after. When the first album. This is the SST reissue, which I would have picked up when it first came out. 1987 was reissued from SST. I would have got that as new then. This is really, I suppose, a bit of a cleaner sound than what came later with Sonic Youth, but you can hear some of that signature guitar sound starting there, and mostly instrumental, or partly instrumental, about half the tracks I think, and still one that I listen to, and a good kind of starting point to track the evolution of sound through Sonic Youth's history from the early days. The second album, again reissued on SST around 1987, that's when I would have picked this up, Confusion is Sex. A much rawer, distorted kind of sound than the first EP, or the first album. Bad Moon Rising, which is I think the album that really caught my attention, and the one that I completely fixated on. Just listening to this over and over and over again. When this came out, I would have bought this new when it was first issued. This is the Homestead version of this, and got a lyric sheet insert there, and had a radio show on a university radio station, and this was pretty frequently played, especially I Love Her All the Time or Justice Is Might, and of course this Death Valley 69, the 12-inch single here, which is great because it's got Brother James on there on the B-side, which is one of my favourite Sonic Youth songs of all time. It's Lydia Lunch there on Death Valley 69, absolutely thrashed that as well. A couple of 12-inch singles that are a bit harder to come across. The Master Dick single, it's got a bit of a warp, but original inner sleeve there. It's kind of more kind of outtakes and studio mucking around, released as a 12-inch. And this is Halloween Flower 12-inch single. Evo, bought this new. I really like this album. This is up amongst my favourite Sonic Youth albums still to this day. I think it really stands up. Maybe it's not one that people think of, they think of Daydream Nation, but I think this really does stand up. Songs like Tom Violence, of course, still featuring in their live shows, were featuring in their live shows through till the recent demise. And Madonna Short of Me, Expressway to Your Skull, which was a great live centerpiece or end piece for the set. Sister would be my all-time favourite Sonic Youth album. I think it's just, when I listen to a song like Pacific Coast Highway or Cotton Crown or Schizophrenia, it just sums up everything I love about this band. It's the melody and the beauty coupled with that pent up energy and dissonance of the feedback, and those things in counterpoint with one another, I think just that's what I love about it. This is the Flying Nun issue of this. So in New Zealand it was issued on Flying Nun, and that means it's got some of the pictures that were blacked out on the US release, the Disney picture there, and this copy here on the back there, that's signed by Lee Ronaldo when they were doing the tour playing the Daydream Nation in its entirety a few years ago. The Dead Sea were playing one night, and I went along in the hope that some Sonic Youth might turn up to see that show. Lee Ronaldo was there, and I have an album, 2008, got him to sign that, so I'm really thrilled to have that. This is the Shakona Youth Into the Groovy 12-inch with Mike Watt, and the Whitey album from Shakona Youth. This is the one that everyone loves, Daydream Nation. When they first came to New Zealand, Sonic Youth, I've seen them 5 times playing in New Zealand. The first time was January 1989, and they were touring this album. Most of the set was from this album. They finished up with Expressway to Skull, and they dedicated the set actually to, I have it here, where are we? Sorry, bear with me. Yeah, they dedicated the set to this band, the Gordons. That was at the power station in Auckland. And then I've seen them play that album again. Of course, they toured around the world playing Daydream Nation, following it up with a set of new stuff from Brother Ripped. And I think, to be honest, I think it was actually better the second time when I saw them play it. It was really spectacular, though nothing beats that kind of excitement that I've seen them for the first time. I'd been looking forward to that so much. I lived in the bottom of the country in Dunedin. I had to fly to Auckland especially to see them, and was so excited, and it just completely lived up to what I hoped. So the next album, kind of doing these ones chronologically because I bought these as they came out chronologically. Dirty, the big Butch Vig production, and I suppose this was a time when we thought, hey, maybe they can break on through, maybe something like 100% on the back of, Nirvana's success might be the breakthrough for Sonic Youth, and everyone's going to realise how great they are. Of course, that wasn't to be, and that whole process is set out really well, and that whole story is told really well in the book Goodbye 20th Century. And one of the things that reading that book was prompt me to go back and listen through the discography again and rediscover albums I hadn't listened to for ages. After Dirty, I still bought Sonic Youth material. I bought the next album, Experimental Jet Set No Star, on CD, and to be honest, I found it pretty disappointing. It's still not one of my favourite albums, not one I go back to a lot. And from that point on, I kind of moved off in a different path, and I kind of lost track with them. Some of the albums following that, Washing Machine, I didn't even buy when that came out, although now I've got it on CD, and I'm hoping to pick it up on vinyl, because I just listen to it now, I just think the album's stunning, but I didn't really bother with it. And then other albums I picked up on CD, I don't even know if they got vinyl releases in New Zealand. But one that I did go back and pick up on vinyl, because when this came out, it just blew me away, was Murray Street. And this rates amongst my favourites, probably second or third favourite Sonic Youth album. I suppose it's a bit quieter, a bit more contemplative, but I don't know what it is about this album. It's just, I play this a lot. I keep on coming back to it. Really, really pleased when this came out, and it just stunned me. Murray Street. Then what else have we got here? We've got the Battery Park live album. This came out with The Eternal, which I bought on CD for some reason. It was before I'd really got back into buying records again, but they only put this out on vinyl. It's a live set from 2008, which really goes back to the early days. So
Most of the stuff on here, you've got some stuff from Experimental Jet Set No Star, but then right back to the first albums for the set list on there. And this was one of the first records I bought when I started getting back into buying records, I suppose a year or so back now, which was the Sonic Youth soundtrack to this movie by Simon Werner. And that's instrumental, kind of experimental, the more kind of improvisational side of Sonic Youth, not so song-based. And I've been kind of delving back and trying to fill some of the gaps, as I said. So some of the stuff I've picked up, Sonic Youth 4 Ton of Bricks, this is the Peel session, kind of official bootleg on the Goofin Records, where they cover 4 songs, 3 by the Fall and 1 by the Kinks, Victoria, which was also covered by the Fall. So it's a cover of the Fall's cover of Victoria from the Peel sessions. Just got this, 1,000 Leaves. When I was listening back to the discography while reading the book, the albums that really struck me were Washing Machine, 1,000 Leaves and New York City Ghosts and Flowers. So those other 2 albums are the next I hope to pick up while I'm filling in the discography gaps there. I don't think I'm going to be a completist and get everything. I mean, there's so many experimental albums, you know, and some of them, to be honest, are kind of, you know, interest only. You listen to them once, you're not going to go back to them. Things like In the Fish Tank with the X, you know, not something I'm going to listen to a lot. Got a couple of singles as well. I bought this when it came out. This is the Sonic Youth Mudhoney split 7-inch, where Mudhoney cover Halloween and Sonic Youth cover Touch Me I'm Sick on Sub Pop Records. It's a limited edition of 3,000. And the Helen Lundberg Eyeliner 7-inch, which came out at the time of Rather Ripped. Also got some Thurston Moore solo material, Trees Outside the Academy, which I think is a fantastic album. That's a picture disc of that. Of course, lots of people have talked about Demolished Thoughts, Thurston Moore's solo album from last year, which was a stunner, one of the highlights of 2011. And I just got this as well, which is, I'd never heard this, Psychic Hearts, Thurston Moore's, oops, excuse me, Thurston Moore's solo album from 1997, and I'd never heard it, I never bought it. This is one of the originals, so it's been reissued, but this one has got the 2 discs, green vinyl for the first disc, and the second disc is on black vinyl with, oh, you never see that, with an etching on the 4th side. And this copy of it, not in perfect condition, the sleeve has got the snip out of the corner, but the price reflected that, and I really like the album. I've been listening to it a lot since I got it. I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't been listening to it since this issue date, because I've been missing out. And what we were listening to there is something else I picked up, which is fairly rare, 800 copies of this press. This is Melbourne Direct. This is the kind of improvisational side of Sonic Youth, with Steve Shelley, Jim O'Rourke, Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo playing for saucer-like recordings in Australia. And this is recorded direct to disc. So they come in, they jammed, and recorded direct to disc, 4 sides, and I managed to pick that up for not too much either. So that's kind of where I'm up to with my Sonic Youth vinyl collection. As I say, a few gaps to fill, Washing Machine, New York City Ghosts and Flowers, and then I want to go back and get the Eternal, Rather Ripped and Sonic Nurse, and then I'm probably going to pick and choose the SYR, the Sonic Youth recordings releases. I probably won't pick all of those up on vinyl, but there's 1 or 2 there that I will. Alright, so Grecian Thunder, that's this video particularly for you, just to kind of
show you what I've got, and sharing your passion there for filling in those gaps in the Sonic Youth vinyl discography. Thanks for watching.